Firstly, thank you all for letting me be here. My name is Stephen Gibler. I've produced and been in production for about 8 feature films, working with Academy Award nominated and winning creatives. Done commercials for Amazon, Lancome, Head and Shoulders, many others. I've produced a lot of other major projects, and I'm also a professor at USC's School of Cinematic Arts. So thank you all for allowing us cinema people to come over here. All right, so there we go. We're going the wrong way here. All right, cool. So when Michelangelo created this painted the Sistine Chapel, it was a huge moment in the creation of art. One single person, one individual with their vision, was able to create something that could move the hearts and minds of the people who saw it. That moment of the Renaissance led to many others, making paintings and sculptings that were singularly driven. The one person bringing something to life. Well, for us, obviously, we're starting to see that now happening as a potential future with the generative AI. Right now, as we've seen changes that are happening by leaps and bounds, not just over the past few years, but even some of the past few months. Pika Labs, Runway, seeing stuff by OpenAI's Sora that is shaking a lot of hearts and minds in Hollywood right now. We're seeing stuff, obviously, with Lebanon Labs, making our voice actor friends get a little nervous. And obviously, Udio is creating music that really is extremely good when you see it in action. The world is changing in a lot of ways. And my talk about potentially the future of the single creation process happening in filmmaking, I would argue is soon at hand. So what's the problem for most filmmakers? Well, we're at the mercy of two major things. The collective. It takes a village to make a movie. There's obviously the executives, the financiers, all these other people and so forth that block the process and make it so it just can't be you doing this. Also, films take money, lots of money, and that's a barrier for most people to make their own films. So how do we work through this, and what can we do to find a way to make it all happen? Filmmaking works with limitations and opportunities in the filmmaking process, and AI is the exact same way. So you see there's going to be some obstacles with AI. You know, obviously 11 Labs is cool, but there are issues. But there are things that we as smart people can start to push through and find a way to make some really interesting projects. But where could we find something that we can look to as an idea of how one person can make something? I would argue it's in a format that people really don't look to when they think of art much. Video games, specifically one game, Undertale, made by Toby Fox. When Undertale came out, it won, sold over 1 million copies, was considered Game of the Year by many awards out there. Some even say it's considered among the best games of all time. It's a truly incredible game. When Fox first wanted to make this game, the idea is that whenever you play video games, you fight monsters of some sort and you use violence to defeat them. What if instead of beating monsters, you built a relationship with them to beat them? What if we used pacifism to win? With that spirit to sort of start this thing off, what Fox ended up doing is he got a game and started thinking about what can be made with the limitations and the strengths. First is that he made it NES style, old school, nostalgic for the normally millennial viewer, but also very easy to program. The game, video game fighting system is like sort of a warped version of Pong, but made inventively and smart within that format. The characters obviously are inspired by the sort of Tumblr era 2010s that a lot of viewers will connect to, but also, again, easy to build. The world itself in its design was made understanding limitations, but leaning into those limitations and working through them. So what can we think about for movies and how that can work over there? So first, if you're going to use AI to make something, you don't want to think small like Fox did. You had to do that. But you want to think big. Sci-fi action. Action sequence of any kind. Worlds of fantasy, period pieces. It's going to cost the same no matter what the image is. So if you're going to make something, try to think of something that goes big. Further, if you're going to do it, well, here's the thing. AI has real issues with faces and face consistency. That is a problem. So how do we work through it? Famous people. AI is really good at recognizing famous people and being able to make their face and stuff like that. Even further, it's useful for face consistency, but here's the thing. I don't know if any of us can get Tom Cruise to give over his likeness. So what else can we do? Famous figures in history. George Washington, the founding fathers, Amelia Earhart, and many others. These people, and there's many of them in the public sphere and public domain, AI can not only make the images of, but keep them consistent as you create a project in that space. Let's go even further. What else can we do for a single individual? If you look at stuff happening with like Midjourney and stuff like that, a lot of it looks kind of psychedelic. So you try to think of your films in more of a psychedelic format. Further, think of fantasy. Again, if you want to have a format that works, fantasy is going to be the area that you do it in. Again, think of limitations, but lean forward into it. Further, music, well, usually music's made at the end of the filmmaking process. Instead, what we can do is make the music first. We can feel the film first before we see it, which then creates a driving force and changes fundamentally how films are made. Take it even further, well, the AI voice actors are good, but there's some issues with cadence and stuff like that. So what do? Let's make a movie about robots or aliens. Again, those are creatures that don't speak with normal cadence. So again, we lean into the genre and matter. Instead of having this thing be a weakness, it's now not a weakness, and we have a strength. There's more. So when we put this together, we want to say is that, well, filmmaking usually is made all at once. And if you want to make more, well, I think they spent $50 million on the Indiana Jones reshoots. $50 million. Now, because of how quickly AI can change and build stuff, we can actually make a film very quickly and be riskier with ideas. Also, we can bring people in and do a lot more testing and modification of the idea before it goes out to the viewer. So this process isn't just one singular person, but the feedback and the back and forth that comes in this process. So if our founding fathers robot action movie was also the format for that. Jeffrey Katzenberg said a couple months ago that 90% of all animation jobs are going to be gone in 3 years. 90% of all animation jobs are gone in 3 years. So I guess we're going to have to make it an animated robot action movie. Also, going further, if we're going to do this stuff in this format, what we want to do is realize that we're going to make stuff that can be more edgier. Because here's the thing, animation is usually made for families because they have huge budgets. Now, because the budgets are lower, we're going to see some really interesting animation that's edgy, that pushes the line, and that's going to be really exciting. So to close this thing off, what we're going to see now, what's happening is we're soon going to reach that world that Fox did with Undertale, but for filmmakers, where one person, maybe one person in this room, is going to have an idea that means something. The same way Fox thought, maybe I can make a game where peace leads to victory. Someone's going to make something that challenges what we see as filmmakers, what we see as viewers on screen, and what a movie means to us. And to me, that's really exciting about the soon coming future, because someone's going to think of something really great, unknown to us, and soon we'll see it on screen. Thank you.